Well done, Rachel Reeves. Look at what you've done. This is what happens when you put ideology above practicality in your policies. We knew that there were millionaires fleeing the country in big numbers, but this report that has come out in the Times is absolutely jaw-dropping. The situation is a heck of a lot worse than we thought. London is no longer a city full of rich, successful people creating jobs in the country, creating wealth in the country. All the people that are big wealth creators, they are running as fast as they can away from this country because it's no longer worth working hard in this country because the taxes are so high. Let's take a look at some of the shocking data that's been revealed. This article in the Times says London is no longer one of the top 5 wealthiest cities in the world after losing a higher proportion of millionaires than anywhere other than Moscow. An annual report on global wealth says the UK's capital has lost $11,300 millionaires just over the past year. That includes 18 centimillionaires. I know that's a term we don't normally hear, but that means people with 100 million and 2 billionaires. Absolutely shocking. And we've got more data in the Times explaining exactly why this is happening. But before we do, let's take a look at what the Labour spin doctors and ministers are going to blame for this problem. Is it Rachel Reeves? Is it her super high tax policies? Or is it Brexit? Well, Lisa Nandy, of course, is going to blame Brexit because the Labour Party, they're not going to blame themselves, are they? Let's take a listen to this absolutely shocking interview on Sky News.
A survey today by Henley Partners and New World Wealth points to 11,300 millionaires leaving the capital, a big chunk of that in the last 12 months. If this data, the survey is followed by hard data on that front, would the government consider reversing its decision to abolish the non-dom tax status?
Well, the report points to a variety of factors that have led to that, most specifically Brexit. And one of the things that we're committed to doing as a government is making sure that we get a far better deal with the European Union that makes sure that we can continue to support British business.
It's
so
Brexit,
in my
not
area,
our fault.
for example, we've got significant problems, as has the
Wait till
EU,
she's asked about the tax.
music artists aren't able to tour from the UK and the EU and vice versa. Now, that's not good for anybody, so closer cooperation is in people's interests. But the tax regime in Britain is still highly competitive. We've got the lowest main rate of corporation tax in the G7.
What? Did you hear that? Lisa Nandy said there that Britain has a very competitive tax rate system. Are you living under a rock? Have you seen the tax rates for people that earn a lot of money? They work for like 6-7 months of the year for Rachel Reeves rather than for themselves. And she thinks corporation tax is highly competitive in this country as well.
And look, when I come on programmes like this, I get asked a lot, why aren't you taxing wealthy people more? The fact that you're challenging me today to say, is the tax rate too high, I think broadly shows that we're taking the right approach and we're striking the right balance.
I'm sorry. Just because some people are asking you, are you taxing the evil rich people enough, doesn't mean that your tax rates are competitive. You are always going to have loony lefties and journalists that just want to, ask a challenging question saying, why aren't you taxing the rich more? That doesn't mean that you've got the balance right. The fact that so many millionaires are leaving the country clearly shows you haven't got it right. She thinks here that the rich are barely being taxed at all. What world is she on?
What's the message to departing millionaires? Good riddance?
No, of course not. I mean, the UK is an open country. We're a great place to live. We're a great place to work. We're a
great place to live, great place to work. I mean, have you seen the knife crime in London and the shocking NHS where you can't get an appointment, you can't afford any of the houses? Why is it such a great place to live? I mean, I love this country, of course, because I'm born here. But I mean, if you look at it on things like how much tax do you pay, what do you get in return for the tax you pay, and whatnot, there's nothing. Let's take a look back at what she said about the competitive tax system, because that just shocked me.
Able to tour from the UK and the EU and vice versa. Now, that's not good for any operation is in people's interests. But the tax regime in Britain is still highly competitive. We've got the
highly competitive. Absolute joke. Now, she seemed to reference this report to prove that Brexit is the reason why this is happening as opposed to the tax system. But let's take a deeper look at what this report really said, and you'll realise that she is talking out of her you-know-what. New Wealth World said that London, which now has $215,700 millionaires, is one of the only 2 cities in the top 50, the other being Moscow, that has fewer rich people than 10 years ago. Even Paris has seen a rise in the number of millionaires, with a 5% increase over the period. In total, London has lost 12% of its richest residents since 2014. That's a big drop, with the decline being attributed to tax increases, Brexit, and the fall in the value of the pound. Okay? Yes, Brexit may have something to do with it, but she's there acting as though tax increases have nothing to do with it. Absolute liar, liar, pants on fire, Lisa Nandy. Your spin doctoring is not working. We are not fooled. While Moscow has lost 25%, mostly because of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. However, this is where you see it's worse than you initially think. In absolute terms, London has lost more millionaires than anywhere else. That's the reality, guys. With about 30,000 heading for the exit over the past 10 years, compared with 10,000 fleeing Moscow. So you, Lisa Nandy, you're going to tell me that high tax rates have nothing to do with it when you've got more millionaires leaving the UK than anywhere else. And you may say, that's over 10 years. It's the Tories' fault, not our fault. But oh, no. Oh, no. The Times, they have shown with their data that the exodus of wealth from the UK has accelerated sharply in the first 3 months of this year. Why? Because they are running away before Labour's abolition of the non-dom tax regime. That's a Labour policy. That's Rachel Reeves's decision. Okay, it's not the Tories' decision. It's not Brexit. That's your decision. They are running as fast as they can. Well, they've gone now. The new tax year has just started. Load of them have all escaped before the start of the new tax year. You guys may listen to Rob Moore's podcast. He's decided to leave the country and head off to Dubai before the start of this new tax year because the tax is just too much. From Monday, the centuries-old status, which allowed wealthy foreigners living in the UK to shelter their worldwide assets from British taxes for an annual fee starting at 30 grand, was replaced with a much less generous residence-based system. The new system means any wealthy foreigners who have lived in the UK for longer than 4 years now have to pay UK income and capital gains tax on their global earnings. If they stay long enough in the country, their worldwide assets will also become subject to UK inheritance tax of 40%, one of the highest rates in the world. Yet Lisa Nandy goes on Sky News and says that we've got a very competitive tax system. Absolutely unbelievable. This is shocking stuff, guys. This country is in retreat. Our economy is not going to grow when this is happening. Rachel Reeves says she's trying to drive growth. You heard that word all the time before the general election. Then they got into power and they've got no idea what to do. All they are doing is driving the wealth creators out of this country. We are doomed, it would seem, unless we get someone in power who actually knows a little bit about business and a little bit about how to grow an economy. I think we're far from that. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video. Subscribe to Reasoned if you've not already.